J-Lo's confession about Ben Affleck is not what you think. You've probably seen the headlines and the clickbait screaming about Jennifer Lopez's shocking confession about Ben Affleck. The story they're selling is juicy, a heartbroken superstar, regretting the end of a fairy tale romance. These stories are designed to make you click, to make you gasp, and to make you hope the Hollywood ending is still coming. But what if that viral story isn't the whole truth? What if the narrative being sold is a carefully constructed illusion, feeding a collective desire for a love story that was maybe always a little bit broken? We have the actual verified quotes of what she said. We've seen the footage, and it's not what you think. The real story is far more complex, more mature, and frankly, more interesting than the cheap drama being peddled online. We're going to break down the truth behind this so-called confession, trace the cracks in a love affair that captivated the world twice, and show you why experts are convinced that a third act for Bennifer is completely, and finally, off the table. The truth isn't in the rumors, it's hidden in plain sight, in their own words and actions. The confession deconstructed. Let's start with the heart of all this drama, the alleged confession. In the fall of 2025, a wave of articles claimed Jennifer Lopez had an emotional breakdown over her divorce from Ben Affleck, twisting her words to suggest deep regret. The reality is way less sensational and a lot more empowering. During an interview with CBS Sunday Morning in late 2025, Jennifer was candid about how hard their separation was, especially since it happened while she was filming her passion project, the musical Kiss of the Spider-Woman. She admitted it was a really tough time. She described the strange duality of her life at that moment. Every moment on set, every moment I was doing this role, I was so happy, and then it was like back home, it was not great. And it was just like, oh, how do I reconcile this? This is the vulnerability the headline seized on, but they conveniently ignored the context and the powerful conclusion she reached. While she acknowledged the pain, she also framed the divorce as a catalyst for growth. In fact, reports from the same time quote her calling the divorce the best thing that ever happened to me, not as a dig at Ben, but because of the personal journey it triggered. She explained it forced her to focus on self-improvement, helping her to become more self-aware. As she put it, I'm a different person now than I was last year. This isn't the confession of a woman pining for a lost love. It's the declaration of a woman who has found a deeper love for herself. She told an interviewer that after her world exploded, she realized she is capable of joy and happiness all by herself. Being in a relationship doesn't define me. This is the real narrative, not one of regret, but of resilience. The viral story wants you to believe she's heartbroken over losing Ben. The truth is she's celebrating the woman she's become in the aftermath. When asked about hardships, her message has been simple and forward-looking, centered on learning lessons to come out the other side better, stronger. The media sold a fairy tale tragedy. Jennifer Lopez is living a real-life story of self-reinvention. She's not confessing her lingering love for Ben, she's professing her newfound love for herself. The chronological investigation, a rewind of Bennifer 2.0. To really get why a Bennifer 3.0 is just not in the cards, you have to look at the history. We need to trace the cracks that appeared long before the divorce papers were filed. The story of Bennifer 2.0 was never the seamless fairy tale it looked like from the outside. It all started, of course, back in 2001 on the set of the infamous film Geely. They became Bennifer, a supernova couple at the height of the tabloid boom. The Jenny from the Block music video, with Ben on that yacht, became an iconic commentary on the very media frenzy that was consuming them. They got engaged in 2002 with a massive pink diamond, but the pressure was insane. They postponed their 2003 wedding, citing excessive media attention, and by early 2004, it was over. For nearly 20 years, they lived separate lives. Ben married Jennifer Garner and had 3 children, while publicly battling addiction. Jennifer married Mark Anthony, had her twins Emmy and Max, and built a global empire. Their individual lives were full of their own triumphs and struggles. Then in 2021, the impossible happened. They got back together. The world went wild. It was a story of second chances and destiny. They married in a low-key Las Vegas ceremony in July of 2022, followed by a lavish celebration at Ben's Georgia estate in August of 2022. It felt like the Hollywood ending everyone was waiting for. But the public-facing narrative of bliss quickly started to show strain. The internet became obsessed with Sad Affleck, a recurring meme capturing Ben's perpetually weary expressions during public outings with a vibrant Jennifer. At the 2024 Golden Globes, Bennifer even had to publicly defend him, saying, "You don't need to worry about Ben. Let me just tell you, he is good, he is happy." Then came Bennifer's 2024 passion project, This Is Me Now, and its accompanying documentary, The Greatest Love Story Never Told. It was a self-funded, deeply personal exploration of her journey back to Ben. But even within this love letter, there were telling moments of friction. Ben himself seemed uneasy with the level of exposure. In the documentary, he's captured being uncomfortable with his private love letters being shared. He even points out the irony of the title, saying, "If you're making a record about it, that seems kind of like telling it." Bennifer acknowledged his uncomfort, noting, "I don't think he's very comfortable with me doing all of this, but he loves me, and he's going to support me." This was a fundamental clash of personalities. Bennifer, the consummate performer who processes her life through her art, and Ben, a more private person who had already been burned by the public nature of their first relationship. By May 2024, the rumors of a split were undeniable. They were reportedly living apart. Bennifer canceled her 2024 This Is Me Now tour, officially stating she was taking time off to be with her children, family, and close friends. They spent the summer largely apart. On August 20th, 2024, almost 2 years to the day of their Georgia wedding celebration, Bennifer filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences and listing their date of separation as April 26th, 2024. Sources said their different personalities and busy schedules were major factors. The fairy tale had ended, but the final chapter was being written long before the public was allowed to read it.
The expert analysis: why a third time is not the charm. And that brings us to the latest fuel for the rumor mill, their joint appearance at the New York City premiere of Kiss of the Spider-Woman on October 6, 2025. On the surface, it looked like a cozy reunion. They posed for photos, whispered, and smiled. Ben, whose company Artist Equity produced the film, was there to support a star. Bennifer, in turn, gave him credit on the red carpet. Ben returned the praise, calling her performance spectacular. To the hopeful eye, this was a sign, but to body language experts, it was a carefully managed and very telling performance. Body language expert Judy James analyzed their interaction and noted a fascinating role reversal. She observed that throughout their marriage, it was often J-Lo putting in the effort on the red carpet, creating signals of adoration, while Ben looked on with his famous weariness. But at this premiere, the dynamic flipped. James noted it's Ben putting in all the body language graft here in what looks like a bid to appear joyful to be standing alongside his ex. His smile was described as a rigid, overkill expression that hinted at inner tension and awkwardness. It looked like a performance of support, not a rekindling of romance. And Bennifer? While Ben was working overtime to project joy, her signals were far more reserved. James described her smile as wide, but showing little sign of actual joy. It was professional, polite, the smile of a colleague, not a soulmate. Adding another layer, when Bennifer posted a carousel of photos from the premiere on her Instagram, Ben was notably absent from her selection. That's not an oversight, that's a message. This interaction shows exactly why a third go-round is so unlikely. Their relationship is now one of professional respect and co-parenting. They have found the new, more stable balance. The intense passion of Bennifer 1.0 and 2.0 was unsustainable because they clashed with their fundamental personalities. Ben's aversion to the spotlight and Bennifer's desire to live her life out loud. They have finally moved past the romantic drama into a space of functional, respectful distance. Ben is focused on his work and family. Bennifer is focused on her career and her own personal growth. A journey she's been very open about. She's embracing her independence. The polite smiles on the red carpet weren't a teaser for Bennifer 3.0. They were the epilogue to a story that has finally, truly reached the tent. They aren't getting back together because they have both, finally, moved on. Bennifer's focused on her own journey and Ben on his. The greatest love story ever told has found its peaceful, logical conclusion. But that's our take on the evidence. What do you think? After hearing the real story, do you believe this chapter is truly closed for good? Or is there always a chance for a couple with this much history? Let me know your take in the comments below. I read all of them. And if you appreciate getting the real story behind the headlines, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.